Okay, so
What can I help you with today?
money habits keeping you poor.
Ah, yes, this is a very interesting subject because so many people, they get to the end of the month or the end of the fortnight, whenever they get paid, and they seem to be running out of money, or they're running out of money and they're relying on credit cards. So there's a whole many layers of problems here, and let's try and unpack them and explain what's happening. This is not something people need to be guilty about. It's something they've learned, or some bad habits they've learned. And they're not alone in the situation either, because in the United States, nearly 75% are living paycheck to paycheck. And in the United Kingdom and in Ireland, this is not much different. About 50% are living paycheck to paycheck. So they've got good jobs, good incomes, and they're struggling to survive.
So why do so many people feel broke every month if they have a lot of money?
Well, it's the way that they're organising their money. They generally have a good salary, but they're organising it very badly, and they're not spending their money in a controlled way. They're spending their money, it's just, there's a flow, literally a cash flow out of their wallet.
So it's just a budgeting issue, or just they have a bad month?
I think they've built up a lot of bad habits, so they have, and they end up in a situation where they can't save. And they're hoping that someday some white knight is going to save them, you know. Well, I'm sorry, I have a reality check for you here. There's no one coming to save you. Your boss isn't going to walk in and give you a big rise. There's nobody going to pay off your credit card. And there's nobody's going to pay all those zillions of subscriptions you have for TV channels and God knows what.
Maybe I can be on the lottery.
Well, it ain't going to happen. You can try. It's always a good idea, maybe, to try if you're disposed towards gambling. But the chances of winning the lottery are about 1 in about 200 million.
It depends how much money I spend for the lottery ticket.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on swiftly. You know, people lose track of their spending, you know. They've no structure to the debts. They have, as I said previously, subscriptions. Maybe they have Netflix, maybe they've got, who else? Disney, Paramount. Maybe they've looked at YouTube a lot, and they've thrown $3 or $4 into a lot of these Patreon subscriptions, or Buy Me a Coffee, and supporting numerous channels, and the money just runs out, you know. So they need to just really understand where their money is going. And
so what are the signs someone is in financial trouble?
I think the signs are, as you mentioned, that people run out of money at the month end. They're not saving anything. And in a worst case scenario, they're relying on credit cards or store cards to get by. And this is a huge mistake, because all they're doing is spending future income. And not only are they spending future income, but this is spending that's going to cost them money, which is going to eat further into their income.
So what's the uncomfortable truth people need to hear?
Well,
they can buy coffees.
Well, the uncomfortable truth is that they have to stop and take stock and realize that there's no magic fix, that the solution is in their hands, and that they need to take action.
Exactly what?
Well, the first thing is what they need to do is to identify their spending. So if you have Excel, or you understand Excel or Google Sheets, export 3 months of your transactions from your bank account and dump them into Excel. So here you can see all your transactions over 3 months. 3 months is a reasonable sample. If you don't have Excel, just put it down on a bit of paper. Well, if you don't have Excel, you can use a bit of paper. Maybe I'll design a template and put a link in the description so you can get that. But you must divide your spending into 3 categories. There are 3 categories your spending falls into: must spend, need to spend, and like to spend.
I like to spend.
Yeah, but everybody likes to spend, you know. Like they must have consequences, and the needs are flexible, and the likes, well, that's into the danger zone, and it's where you get this quiet lifestyle creep that's eating into your paycheck, eating into the pay rise you get. You get a pay rise and you feel great, I have lots more money, but actually, you are actually within the months you're going to expand your spending, and your lovely pay rise is gone.
So where do most people actually go wrong?
They go wrong by piling up lots of fixed costs. So every month, there's a huge percentage of their income is being already accounted for, and some of this is very important. Like the must spend is things like your mortgage, if you have a property, or your rent, which you have to give to your landlord, or your insurance for your house, or your contents, or your car insurance, or your health insurance. These are the things you must spend on, you know. And then you have the things that you need to spend on. These are like food. These are like petrol or diesel for your car, or for recharging your car. And the electricity to power your house, or the gas to heat your house, these are need to spend. And then there's the like to spend. This is all those occasional coffees you stop off, or these lunches you go out for, or you're scrolling through your Facebook feed and you see, oh, that's nice, I'll buy that, and you just on impulse you buy it, and this is where you're really eating into your money.
What about my gym?
What about your gym?
What can I do with my gym?
Is this your brother gym or the gymnasium?
My head.
Your health is very important, and getting to the gym is very important. But when you're running out of money, maybe you should just look at Tai Chi. Yeah, you can do Tai Chi chair exercises, and there's so many people flogging these Tai Chi exercise routines that maybe this is what you should do. But right until you put balance into your money, maybe your subscription, a very expensive probably subscription to your gym, has to go.
So what about my coffee? Can I get my coffee?
You can have your coffee and your cakes, but it has to be controlled. But you know, if you're on the way to work every morning, going into your favorite coffee bar, buying your favorite latte or cappuccino and a nice croissant every morning, you know, this can be what, $10-12. That's $50-$60 a week. That's, you know, when you add that all up, you know, it amounts to a lot, you know.
Maybe, yeah. So, why do small purchases matter so much?
Well, small purchases add up into big purchases. When you make a big purchase, you think very carefully about it. So let's say you're going to buy yourself a new laptop. You know, you think about it, you research it, you ask your friends, you check for retail outlets. Is the most competitive? Should I buy it online? Should I buy it from Amazon? Should I go to whatever my local electrical retailer? So you make a considered purchase. With these small purchases, they're just impulse. And then boom, $10 gone, boom, $20, $50 gone. And these add up into hundreds of dollars each month. And it's this impulsive purchasing.
How do you know where is the money really going?
Well, if you go into your, as I mentioned earlier, into your Excel and analyze where you're spending and break down your costs between, you know, must spend, need to spend, like to spend. So, you know, as I mentioned, your must spend is those things that keep a roof over your head or wheels under your butt to get you to work, the essentials. The need to spend, well, that's just keeping body and soul together. And then you see all the likes to spend, the things that are nice to spend, and you need to sort of cut these out. You need to cut down your subscriptions. How many of these subscriptions every month, ka-ching, ka-ching, going out to your bank, how many of these do I really look at, you know?
So do you think that this is the way that most people quietly go broke?
Yeah, they quietly add on fixed costs to their spending each month.
Okay, so what the first step, what I should do?
The first step you should do, as I said, is the analysis. And now you have visibility of what you're spending. You can see on your Excel or on your sheet of paper or in your notebook exactly how much you're spending on discretionary spending. And maybe you've got credit cards. This is the elephant in the room we haven't discussed. Credit cards come out very quickly, and maybe you're tempted to take out a second card and just pay the minimal payment on your card. Maybe you have multiple cards and you've got a heap of debt. Well, you've got to sort of identify this.
So do you think that's a trap?
Well, the credit card is a trap. The store cards are also a trap. You go into Macy's or you go into Arnott's or you go into Selfridges in London and you have a nice card, and ching, before you know where you are.
I can use them.
You can use, well, that's sure. You can use them, that's sure.
You can buy lots of nice things.
Yeah, you can buy lots of nice things, but, these nice things have to be paid for. Sometimes it's better you should take your partner or your husband with you, because he can hold your hand, and it's not a romantic grip, it's an economic grip he's keeping on you.
Maybe he has a credit card also.
Or maybe he has a credit card also, and he should keep that in his pocket. Yeah, no point in the multiplier effect. But seriously, credit cards, they feel safe, but they're actually debt. And, what you're doing is you're borrowing against future income. So that salary in 2 or 3 months' time, you've already spent it. And some people get into serious credit card debt. And then, of course, there's the interest cost,
Yeah, the interest is high. Yeah, that's sure. So, where should somebody start saving?
Well, you've got to stop living on credit. You've got to cut those debt habits, and because interest is lost wealth. And by doing this, you're achieving a freedom and a level of comfort. You're not stacking up more debt upon debt, so you're not.
So, do you think if you save 1% does it really make a difference?
Yeah, I mean, it's the start. You may be just starting with 1% of your income that you're putting away. It's not so much the amount, but it's the habit. You're establishing a habit that's going to save you. It's going to build up that reserve that you'll need. And it's going to give you a certain peace of mind. And it's going to give you options for the future.
So what's the simple plan?
Well, create a budget for yourself. You got to flip that debt into savings. Initially you're going to have a plan to pay down those credit cards. Just cut them up. If you can't control your use of credit cards, get the scissors and cut them up until you can. That is hard, but this is, it's a wake up call. And sometimes, it's maybe you might describe it as tough love of yourself, that you're going to save yourself,
I love myself.
Yeah, but if you, once you pay off the cards and you're paying, every month a fixed amount of these cards, you can then flip that into savings. So when those cards are paid off, and say you have 3 or 4 cards and you have 3 or 4 direct debits paying down these cards. So when you pay off first, the easiest one, get that one paid off first, and whatever you're paying off that card, you can decide, well, am I going to increase the payment on another card, or am I going to flip that payment into savings? So maybe you're paying $10 a month or $20 or $40 a month off that card. You can decide, well, now I'm going to start saving that $40,
So what's it the 50, 30 and 20 split?
Well, this really is, the split you should have between your incomes, 50 is your must spend, 30 is your need to spend, and 20 is your like to spend. These are just broad measures. When you've worked out when you've done the maths, you've done the analysis, you can see what your percentages are. But, those fixed costs, they're fixed. If you've got essential fixed costs, which are your mortgage, maybe your health insurance, maybe your car insurance or your house insurance, these are fixed. The other fixed costs are those 10 or 15 other subscriptions or Patreon payments that you're making. You need to eliminate these.
So what if somebody is already in debt?
Well, what you need to do if you're in debt is to stop spending. If you're in a hole, stop digging. That's the first rule of holes is to stop digging. Work out a plan as to how much you can pay off these cards and stick to it. Set up direct debits and every month reduce your debt, your liability. But you must stop spending on cards. You must stop lifestyle spending on your cards. This is getting far too much.
So we should build reserves.
Yeah, building reserves.
But how?
Well, this is going to come slowly and pleasantly, because after you've got control of your spending and you've tightened up on your spending, at the end of each month, maybe you'll find you have a little bit left over. Resist the impulse to spend this.
Try not to spend it.
Do not spend it. Transfer it into maybe a deposit account. Yeah, maybe it's only earning you 1 or 2%, but it's a reserve.
You can buy a coffee again.
No, you can't buy a coffee again. This is a reserve. And the idea of the reserve is that for those emergencies that come along, you have something, you have money on your hip to help you out. At the moment, you're spread very thin, and if your car breaks down, or your child needs suddenly needs to go to the doctor and needs special treatment, and you need that money, that reserve is there. And after you've used the reserve, it is exactly that, a reserve. Put it back. Make an effort to put it back when the emergency passes and to build up that reserves. And ideally, get yourself to a point where you have about 3 months of your spending in reserve.
Okay, can you offer a template for this or something?
Sure, we're going to put a template. We'll put a link down below in the description. I'll try and make one up in an Excel sheet and a Google Sheets, and we'll also put together some sort of a paper template, a PDF, for anybody who's not using a laptop or doesn't have Excel or Google Sheets or something like that, or they're not familiar with it,
Okay, so what's the main takeaway?
The main takeaway this is that you're not bad with money. You just never learned how to manage it properly, and you were never conscious. You were untrained, exactly. You were not taught. Now you have a system, so you need to break this cycle of spending, and you will emerge from this. You will end up with a reserve. You will end up with a situation where you know that, well, if something comes out of the woodwork, that you have some money there, and that what you're spending on is controlled, and that you've dispensed with all those fixed costs. This is where really all these subscriptions, and then all these nice coffees and croissants and weekends away. Yeah, you're saving a lot of money here. I beg your pardon?
Maybe once a week.
Yeah, whatever you can afford. You don't have to be a hermit, Just say yourself, well, okay, instead of every morning, I'm going to buy myself a coffee and croissant or whatever your personal treat is. Well, I'm going to do it on Friday morning. Okay, Friday, it's end of the week, and I'm going to have my coffee and my croissant this morning. I'm labouring the point about coffees and croissants. It can be anything. Maybe you like to go out for a lunch, or you like to get you have a special place you like to go get a nice hot dog or a nice burger or something, whatever it is. But you've got to get control of your spending, and when you've got control of your spending, then you can exercise control over where you spend it, where it flows to, and not just it's flowing out of your wallet willy-nilly, and you get back to the situation where you're living paycheck to paycheck.
So can I change my life with this?
You can change your life with this. You must change your life with this. Otherwise, you're heading down a slippery slope into maybe insolvency. And, you have responsibilities. Maybe you're a single person living on your own. Well, you're responsible for yourself. And as I said earlier, the bank of mum and dad isn't always there. There's no white knight going to come over the hill and pay off your credit card debts, or, you're on your own. It's up to you to solve these problems. And when you solve these problems and you have control, you're going to find it much nicer to wake up in the morning and not have to worry about debt.
So that's a good news. Thank you.
You're very welcome. And if you enjoyed this, please subscribe and hit the like button. It helps the algorithm. I'm getting nothing out of this, but eventually, if I get enough subscribers, they tell me that YouTube might actually give me something for doing this. But that's not what I'm here. I'm here to help you. Tune in, follow the channel, subscribe. I've lots and lots of more helpful videos on how you can stay in control of your finances. And also, I have a range of videos coming out for the small and medium enterprises. I worked for 15 years as a finance director of a multinational engineering company. So I have lots of things I can share with you. So thank you for watching.